I'm in Lisbon, learning how to bake Portugal's iconic custard tart, the PASTEL de NATA.
From the bottom until the top, all in one go.
I'm learning alongside tourists from all over the world who booked this on Airbnb. They are part of the tide of travelers who want to live like a local. In the past few years, this kind of tourism has exploded in Lisbon. In 2017, more than 5 million visitors came here. That's 9 tourists for every 1 local. And there's plenty of money to be made for locals who cater to these visitors. But once you look past the economic upside, what does this live like a local trend mean for locals' lives?
5 minutes from the door of my house, I have 9 places selling avocado toast. 9! It's ridiculous.
I'm Rosie Spinks. This is Quartz. A big part of Live Like a Local tourism is showing the world what you're doing. But it's not about room service in a 5-star hotel. It's buying a warm croissant from the corner boulangerie and putting the perfect filter on it. And it's not just millennials that are doing it.
I think the bragging rights have become one of the biggest drivers of travel. This is true across a lot of age sectors, a lot of demographics, a lot of cultures that haven't traveled ever.
Rafat Ali is the founder of Skift. It's a publication that covers the global travel industry and how technology has changed it. He says the rise of online travel agents and low-cost airlines have made travel accessible to nearly everyone. But forget guidebooks. Live Like a Local travelers are getting recommendations from their favorite bloggers and influencers. Inspired by the late Anthony Bourdain and the global rise of foodie culture, they want an off-the-beaten-path sensory experience. A decade ago, few tourists found Zé da Moraria, a traditional Portuguese tasca restaurant. But food bloggers, camera crews, and influencers have put it on the tourist circuit.
Toda a publicidade, se meter Zé da Moraria, aparece. É mesmo o próprio cliente que mete, faz a publicidade. Isso é o maior orgulho que eu tenho. É que eles comem e depois metem logo. Então temos gostos, nunca mais acabam.
Business has been extremely good. Virgilio employs 27 people, opened a second restaurant that serves dinner, and has plans for a 3rd location. But what about his longtime customers?
Às vezes os clientes queixam-se, mas é mais uma brincadeira. Então, qualquer dia não temos entrada aqui, porque isto está tudo cheio de estrangeiros.
Lots of business owners like Virgilio have uncomplicated feelings about the tourism boom in Lisbon. For the city's controversial tuk-tuk drivers, there's now an entirely new way to make a living. But job creation and busy restaurants is not the whole story.
If you can look at the clothes, if you just have pillows and sheets, it's Airbnb. If you have normal clothes, it's a local one.
Leonor Duarte and Fabiana Pavel are not happy about the touristification of the city.
The city center is not for inhabitants. The city center is for tourism.
They are part of the local activist group Morar and Lisboa, or Living in Lisbon. They say the tourism boom began to take off in 2011 on the heels of Europe's debt crisis. That's when Portugal took a number of steps to fix a hurting economy. First, they reversed pro-tenant legislation that had kept rents low in the city center, but had also left many ancient buildings neglected. Then the government began courting foreign investment through tax breaks and visa schemes. It was around that same time that Airbnb spread throughout Europe. Since then, Portuguese tourist rental laws have made it pretty easy for anyone to put their home online. And this created the perfect storm. These days, the economy may be booming, but historic buildings like these, many renovated for tourists, have become out of reach for many locals.
We are not even anti-gentrification. We are a movement for the city, for the housing, for the city, for the right to the city. We are against touristification.
The Portuguese government points out that under the old laws, much of the city center was abandoned. They argue that their tourist rental laws have helped revitalize the city while bringing in important tax revenue. But some locals say that revenue hasn't helped them.
Many people were evicted on account of Airbnb and hotels because prices are getting absolutely crazy.
Late last year in Lisbon, the city council voted to temporarily suspend the registration of new Airbnbs in several hip neighborhoods, including this one. Quartz reached out to Airbnb for comment, who said it has worked with Lisbon officials to pay tourist tax since 2016. They also said 73% of hosts in Lisbon have just a single listing. Another rapidly gentrifying neighborhood is Intendente, where Catarina Portas opened A Vida Portuguesa, one of a few shops celebrating traditional Portuguese culture. So I imagine the rise in tourism has been great for your shop. I wonder more broadly in the city and in Lisbon, what are your feelings about the growth in tourism?
Tourism saved the city, this city, during the crisis. No doubts about it.
Right.
But at the same time, it's very difficult nowadays. And I think it's destroying the city. The diversity in shops is disappearing.
Right.
Shops are all the same. And I think all our cities are becoming the same. The charm of Lisbon that attracted the tourists, it's the first thing to disappear.
Cities all over the world are grappling with the same question. Is it possible for a city to make money from a tourism economy without completely destroying what made it popular in the first place? For João, the baker who created one of the most popular Airbnb experiences in Lisbon, this is just part of the growing pains of becoming a global city.
We don't produce much. We are not a strong country of exportation, of services and so on. So our survival way, it would be the tourism, and I'm happy about it. Downsides, of course, we have more night living, more trash on the streets,
right.
More drunk people on the streets, but that's normal. All big capitals, it happens that. We have just to adapt.
Rafat says the best way to adapt is for officials to plan the city's future with locals in mind.
The general rule of thumb is if you're going to make a city better for locals first, in general, chances are that it's going to be much better than thinking about tourists first.
That means the officials marketing the city to visitors need to work with those making sure it's livable for residents.
Eu acho que a Câmara de Lisboa devia fazer mais do que faz. Por exemplo, vejo a Câmara de Paris a fazer coisas como comprar espaços comerciais para depois aceitar candidaturas. Neste bairro não há nenhuma livraria. Este espaço é para ser uma livraria. Aqui estamos a reequilibrar as coisas.
Cities like Lisbon have a choice. Do they want to invite tourism and foreign dollars at any cost to fuel economic growth? Or are they willing to limit that growth and welcome visitors in a way that maintains what makes a city so appealing to begin with? Because for Live Like a Local travel to be sustainable, locals have to feel good about it too.
Hey, we're making a series for Quartz members we think you'll like. It's called Because China. China is reshaping our world in a lot of interesting and unexpected ways. Click the link in the description or the comments and sign up for a free membership trial to watch this series and more great videos.